Senator, welcome to the program. I understand you met with Amy Coney Barrett yesterday.
Sean, it's great to be with you. I did. I sat down with Judge Barrett yesterday, had a very good meeting, spent about 45 minutes at the Capitol with her, and I will say she's very, very impressive. We all know about her impeccable credentials, first in the class at Notre Dame Law School, law clerk to Justice Scalia, law professor at Notre Dame for 20 years, one of the most respected federal appellate judges in the country. But I'll tell you personally, what I found most impressive was her temperament. Her temperament was calm, it was cool, it was collected, it's very, very scholarly and academic. It's very much a judicial temperament. And you know, you think about her life. A month ago, she was living a fairly quiet life as a law professor and judge in Indiana. She has 7 kids. She was a mom. And now she's in the maelstrom of Democrats and the attack machine trying to destroy her, trying to destroy her family, slurring her, dragging her through the mud. And I was very impressed by the calm and strength that she had. I think she's going to perform exceptionally well in the confirmation hearings.
Let's talk about, it's very funny because, before you were a senator, you argued before the Supreme Court. Before you argued before the Supreme Court, you were one of Alan Dershowitz's favorite students and one of his smartest students. And he said that to me numerous times, but you agree really not very much politically. This is your passion. This is your love. Now we find ourselves, you had no idea there'd be a vacancy on the Supreme Court the week of the release of your book or the week before.
You're right. I had no idea we'd have a vacancy now, but I did know we had an election coming in November, and I think this is the most important issue in the election, that we have a president who will appoint justices who will preserve the Constitution and Bill of Rights. And now with the vacancy in the Judge Barrett nomination, and I expect confirmation, it's suddenly the single most pressing issue, I think, for everybody.
What do you think's been going on, your observation, as it relates to John Roberts?
It's terrible what's been going on with John Roberts. He has been galloping to the left. I think Roberts is the new Sandra Day O'Connor, and I've known Roberts for 25 years. So he was a law clerk to Chief Justice Rehnquist. I was also a law clerk to Rehnquist, and so we've known each other for a long, long time. He's older than I am. He clerked before I did. But I think what's going on fundamentally is he hates Donald Trump. I think it is a personal and visceral reaction. It's hard to think of two people more antithetical, more opposite than John Roberts and Donald Trump. But unfortunately, what it's producing in him is he keeps galloping to the left and voting with the liberals on the court in a way that is undermining the rule of law. And I talk about Roberts quite a bit in the book and his history. At his confirmation hearing, he used an example that's become famous. He said a judge's job is to be like a baseball umpire, to call balls and strikes, but not to get in the game. And John, I think because of his animosity to Trump, he is no longer an umpire. He has jumped in the game, he's grabbed a bat, and he is swinging with all his might. And it is emblematic of what's gone wrong at the court.
If you look at somebody like Justice Clarence Thomas, who I just love and admire so much, and Samuel Alito has really come into his own, in my humble opinion. And then you look at the new justices, Gorsuch and Kavanaugh. What are your early thoughts on both of them?
Well, I agree with you that Thomas and Alito are giants. They're extraordinary justices. Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, it's too early to tell, and usually you can measure a justice's tenure in decades and not just a year or two. I think there are warning signs with both of them, and I've got real concerns for both of those vacancies. I urge the president, I urge the president to nominate Mike Lee, who I think would be the best choice, and I both publicly and privately urge the president to do that. He made a different choice. I worry about, the entire final chapter of my book actually focuses on Supreme Court nominees and how to get them right and how we get them wrong. The Democrats always get this right.
I was just going to say, Democrats never get it wrong, Senator. No, yep. Not one time. They always get what they want.
Because what happens is with other nominees, Republicans, someone goes and says, well, look, this is a stealth candidate. They have no record. They never said anything conservative. But trust me, deep down, they'll be great. And that almost
like David Souter.
Out to be a disaster. Yes.
Or Sandra Day O'Connor. And you're right about one vote away from erasing constitutional freedoms. That is all true, and that's all in play. And in the case of Amy Coney Barrett, who I like a lot, too. What is your take on the election with 33 days away? You know as well as anybody how hard it is for any Republican to win the presidency, because you got to pretty much run the table to win.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I think the election is incredibly volatile. I'm worried about it. I think the left is energized. They are furious. That they hate Donald Trump. Even before the Supreme Court vacancy, they were filled with rage and fury. Now, with the Supreme Court vacancy, to borrow a line from the movie Spinal Tap, now it goes to 11. I mean, they're out of their minds. And so. What that means is they're going to show up in huge numbers. As you know, they raised $100 million in the first day after Justice Ginsburg passed away. And that turnout is going to be there. Now, the good news is if we can turn everybody else out, if conservatives show up, if libertarians show up, if just common sense Americans who believe in low taxes and low regulations and lots of jobs, who don't want riots and anarchy in the street, if we show up and vote, we'll win. And I actually think the fight over Judge Barrett is incredibly beneficial politically to the president, because I think it will help energize the folks we need to show up. And I believe we're going to confirm her and do so by the end of the month before Election Day.
Do you believe, if you had to give your best guess, and, remember when you start out without the electoral votes of New York or New Jersey or Illinois and California or Washington State or Oregon, that's a huge electoral advantage. Yeah, for the Democrats. Yeah. Do you believe that the president, what do you think the odds are he can get this reelection?
I think they're substantial, but what's crazy about the volatility, if come Election Day, people are going back to work and they're optimistic and they're hopeful and they feel good about the future, we could see a great election. I think the president could win by a bigger margin than he won in 2016. And we could grow our majority in the Senate. I think we could also retake the House and take the gavel out of Nancy Pelosi's hands. That's an outcome that I think is entirely possible. On the flip side, if we have more shutdowns in the next month, if there are millions of Americans that are home and alone and unemployed and broke and pissed off, we could see a devastating election. We could see an election where Biden wins, they retake the Senate, and we wake up next year with Biden, Schumer, and Pelosi running the federal government. I don't recall, Sean, in our lifetimes, an election with that kind of delta, that kind of volatility, and it's why I'm spending every waking moment fighting to turn people out and fighting to really make the case why this matters.
Listen, there's nobody been fighting harder, and I give you all the credit for that. We'll come back more with the senator on the other side. As we continue, Senator Ted Cruz, great state of Texas, he just released his brand new book, One Vote Away, How a Single Supreme Court Seat Can Change History. We were talking about the election now in 33 days, Senator. Listen, you felt the impact of money down in Texas, unprecedented amounts of money that were thrown against you by Bozo, Robert Francis, and who would be the gun czar, I guess, of Joe Biden. But you look at these positions, he won't answer if he's going to stack or pack the court. He won't answer if he wants to eliminate the Electoral College, D.C. statehood, Puerto Rico statehood. It's obvious to me that this is their plan, or else they say, no, it's not.
I think you are absolutely right. If they win, I think they'll do all of it. Within a couple of weeks, they'll end the filibuster, and I'm certain they have the votes for that, which means if they've got the majority, the Senate minority can't stop their radical agenda. I think they will move forward on both making D.C. a state and Puerto Rico a state, and the reason is crassly, and they're open about it. It's political. They think they'll get 4 new Democratic senators. So if we start January with 50 Democratic senators, we could end the year with 54 Democratic senators, and they want to entrench their power and hold on to it. And when it comes,
is there any way to go back from that if they do that?
Once a state is admitted, no, there really isn't. I mean, there is a serious constitutional argument that they can't make D.C. a state by statute, that it takes constitutional amendment to do it, and I expect that will be fought out. But once a state is admitted, there's no precedent for unwinding it. I mean, if they do it, it's very hard to see that omelet being unscrambled. And look, things could be surprising. Puerto Rico is a place that there actually is a vibrant Republican Party. We would certainly contest it there if it became a state, but the Democrats are doing it because their calculation is they're convinced they get 4 Democratic senators out of it.
Senator Cruz, thanks as always for being with us, and let's pray for the country because we need it. Thank you, sir.
Amen, and thank you for all you do, Sean. Appreciate it.